Today I'm going to be working on this Johnson 25. This is the last motor in a series of motors bought last year. I think I bought 5 or 6 motors from the state of Maryland, and this is the last one. From what I remember, this thing, I believe I checked the lower unit oil on here and it was cloudy, so likely some seals need to be replaced on it. I've used some parts off of this. The rectifier I used on a different motor. I ordered a replacement, just haven't put it back on. Spark plugs I took out to use on a different motor. This thing does not have a set of controls that came with it, but I do have several partially complete sets of controls that I'm hoping I can put together and make one complete set that we can use on this motor. And obviously the paint on it looks not so good. Likely I'll end up throwing a coat of paint on this as well. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is pull out those controls that I have and see if I can put them together and make a set. So this is what I have to work with more or less. I do have a set of shift and throttle cables elsewhere. Actually right behind it. So they're hooked up to that 115 motor I have right there. That I'll pull off and I can use on this. This video is not really supposed to be about how to put together controls, so we will fast forward to whether or not I'm actually able to pull this thing off. Alright, so I threw some stuff together. It's not complete. There's still some things that need to be done. I don't know if this red cable I have works. I don't know if the ignition switch works. Obviously I don't have the shift and throttle cables hooked up, and there are some parts I need to order. For instance, I don't have the screw to hold the actual shift and throttle lever onto the control body. Also, the neutral safety switch is bypassed currently because I didn't have one of those. And lastly, there is a ball bearing and spring that's used to as part of the detent to signify that you're in neutral, forward / reverse. So right now that control, the lever, if it were hooked up, would kind of be free flowing between the 3 positions. Anyways, it should be enough as long as the wires are intact internally to bump the starter over and to get it running. So with that out of the way, move on to the actual motor now. I think one of the first things I want to do is get, I believe this is a power cable. I don't know which one it is. We're going to hook the other one up so we can hook it up to a battery and see if these controls work. I'm not sure why there's all this duct tape on here either. I feel like it's probably not a good thing if a outboard is held together by duct tape. Alright, so that's good news. I assumed that duct tape was covering up something that was broken, but it does not actually appear to be. Okay, well it looks like this is actually the ground cable, or the negative, which makes sense because I bought this last year with the intention of putting it on here if I ever got around to working on this, so. Okay, that's hooked up. I'm going to hook up our cables to our controls. Alright, pump in the starter real quick. See if it works. primer. I can hear the primer going. There we go. Kind of. I think we got a loose connection somewhere. Oh yeah. It was sparking whenever I hit the starter. This cable that runs from the relay to the starter is loose. Let me tighten that real quick. All right. So starter works. Awesome. I think I'm going to try to find some spark plugs and we will check for spark. All right, check it out. Let's see if it sparks. Let's see if I bypassed the safety switch properly. Yep, I saw spark on one of them. Both of them. Sweet, yeah. So they're both sparking. But next, maybe put a little fuel in the cylinder, see if it if it burps. All right, I put a little bit of fuel in the cylinders. See what happens. Sounds like it wants to run. It's blowing a lot of dirt out of the exhaust. All right, well, we're really not ready to run it yet. So, oh, I don't even have any oil in the lower unit, so I should probably stop doing that, huh? I think since I'm on to the lower unit, I will go ahead and do a pressure test on that, see if it holds. All right, so for the pressure test, currently the drain and the vent plugs are removed. I'm gonna put the drain plug back in. All right, so we're at 10 psi right now, and I'll leave it there for a little bit and see what happens. Yeah, I got a little distracted, so it's actually been 28 minutes since we pumped this thing up, and it has not dropped at all. So I think it's looking like it's good. I think I might do a negative, or excuse me, a vacuum test, since the pressure test was okay. Why not? It can't hurt. I'll do a vacuum test. All right, so I did the vacuum test. We're at negative 10 or 10. I don't know what the units are. So we'll let that set for a while. If that's good, we're just gonna send it, fill that thing back up, and be good to go. All right, it's been 10 minutes, so it's held steady at 10 minutes. I'm good. I think the seals are good. I honestly don't remember if the oil looked bad or not when I drained it because I did it so long ago. So clearly it must not have been bad. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull the carburetor off, and that way, if that's dirty, I can let that soak while I'm taking care of some other problems. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna have to get the starter off before I can get the carburetor off. So starter, carburetor, and then we'll move on. Hey, so this starter's a pain on these things. So this It's within a bracket. Gotta take that bolt off, which I've already taken off. Bolt here. Taking this little U bracket off, so those two little bolts here. And there's another one down here I've got to get. Spotless. Look at that. I almost didn't take this thing apart. This thing is very clean. I'll go ahead and I'll blow everything out and make sure it's good in all the jets, but I don't think this carburetor is going to be a problem. Camera cut off while I was replacing this rectifier. I'm not sure exactly where it cut off. I think I've discovered that I have a bad battery for the camera, so I will hopefully toss that one up and not have to keep on worrying about the camera cut off. But I got the rectifier in. I think next I'll fill up the lower unit. So I think the next step is to actually test run this thing. But before we do that, it's got a bunch of chip and paint right here around where the earmuffs will go to get water to the motor, and I don't want that stuff to get sucked up in there and stuck internally, potentially clog us. So I'm going to scrape all this loose stuff away, and I'll do this to both sides, and I'm going to think we'll move outside and see if it'll start. Forgot to hook up the throttle linkage. There we go. Alright, so it runs, but it's not peeing right now. It's not overheated yet, so it's could just be a blockage up here. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect this, try running it again and see if we get any water flow out of here. If we do, that'll let us know that the blockage is in this hose right here. So let's try that. Nope, still no water flow, so likely it's the impeller. Now that I know this thing runs, I'm going to give it a quick clean before I bring it inside. So I was able to make fairly decent progress on this thing, with the most important being that it runs. There's still quite a bit to do. I still need to replace the impeller and make sure that the cooling system works like it's supposed to. And there are several parts missing from the controls that I need to order and install as well. And this thing has a terrible paint job on it, so I do plan on putting some paint on here. And I didn't show it in this video because I turned the camera off, but I accidentally destroyed the decal off of the hood with the pressure washer. So looks like I'll be ordering a new set of decals as well. But I'll finish this thing off next week. See you then.